So we're taking a look at Panzer Dragoon Remake. So this came out on the Switch, actually a couple months ago. Tried it out when it first came out, and was actually quite disappointed, because it had some technical problems. There were issues, but the reason I wanted to play this today is because a patch came out in which they solved a number of the issues that it had at launch. Like, for example, the large amount of input latency whenever you did anything. Usually in a video game, when you press a button or use the analog stick, you want, it to something to happen immediately on the screen and not like a second later. That's not what the game. That's not what the original version of this game was interested in, though. But they fixed it. They fixed the input latency. They increased the frame rate. You might notice, if you're familiar with the original Panzer Dragoon, that there is remixed music. That's not from today's patch, that's from a previous patch, but it is there. And of course I'm playing this on the Switch, which currently is the only platform that this remake has come out on. Though I do think it is supposed to come out on the PC at some point. Curious thing, this Panzer Dragoon, it's a Sega property. This remake, not made by Sega, which I should say is strange, but it's been kind of a trend now. Shenmue 3 was not made by Sega. The recently released Streets of Rage 4 was not made by Sega. And also Panzer Dragoon Remake was not made by Sega. Smaller studios making these things. Sega still owns the IPs, but let's take a look at some options. What do we got here? Sound settings. So we could... There's either use original soundtrack or remixed soundtrack. I figure that since we're playing the remade game, we'll go with the remade soundtrack. Even though I like the original soundtrack more, it's not to say that the remake soundtrack is bad. It's just not as good. And I guess the original soundtrack is fantastic, so it would actually be pretty difficult to top it. But I think that we will be using the remade soundtrack tonight. Gameplay settings. They added a performance mode. They increased the frame rate of the game in general. Performance mode, if you turn it on, it lowers the resolution of the game and it runs at 60 FPS. If you turn it off, the resolution is higher, and it still seems to run in almost 60 FPS. I thought it would be 30. It's not. It's definitely running faster than 30. Maybe not quite a locked 60 FPS. I'm not sure what it's doing. It might be an unlocked frame rate. And then maybe when you turn performance mode on, it lowers the graphics to the point that it can achieve the solid 60 FPS, possibly. I'm actually going to turn performance mode off, because I do prefer the graphics to be a little sharper, and the frame rate's still pretty good. It's actually a little difficult to see the game when you have performance mode on. It's better on the small screen, like if you're playing it on handheld. It's not that bad on handheld. Like, the difference is pretty small in terms of the image quality. But when you're playing this on a big screen, when you're playing it on an actual monitor using the dock, difference is noticeable. So performance mode is going to be off. I'm also going to have, let's see. There's gyroscope. I think you might have to be playing docked. No, I'm sorry, handheld to use that. I'm not using the gyroscope anyway. Alright, anyway, let's get started with this. Panzer Dragoon, if you're not familiar with it, was a game that was released early on for the Saturn, and is held dear by many Sega fans. It was very unique for its day, just in terms of the art style and the look and feel of it. It was something that I was a big fan of, but I haven't played the original in quite some time. I guess I gave it another try when Panzer Dragoon Orta was made backwards compatible on Xbox One, because the original game comes with that. But I didn't play through the whole thing at the time. But like I said, I did try this remake out when it came out a couple months ago. It was severely lacking, but it seems like they have fixed all the issues now. So let's get started and start playing through some Panzer. You'll start a new game. We'll just go with normal, I think. And with that, we're going to watch a pretty lengthy introduction, because this game has a lot of story, even if it doesn't tell you much of it. A lot of backstory, a lot of lore. But the actual cutscenes, a little short of information. It's the sort of thing that you would have to read some supplementary materials, I think, for. All right, we've got a mission. We're riding this blue dragon because the previous rider got killed. We don't know who that is or what the dragon is, but they told us we have to stop that black dragon from making it back to the tower. We don't know why, but we're doing it. Our protagonist's name is apparently Keel Fluge. That's what I read anyway. Apparently, I guess he doesn't have a whole lot going on, because he got on that dragon right away. He said, sure, let me get on. Let me shoot this gun. Sounds good to me. This game has a lot of loading time as we start these episodes. Saturn didn't. I'm not sure why there's so much loading time, but I'm going to press A to continue, and we will start episode 1. Here we go. All right, so we got a reticle on the screen. We paint targets on enemies. We zap. We can also shoot our manual gun. Keel does not really know where he's going. Like that rider said, the dragon knows the way. We just have to ride it. Shoot these enemies and make sure that the dragon gets there in time. The remade art does look very good. One thing I do think about it, though, is that compared to the original game, the enemies do kind of blend into the background much more than they did in the original game. Kind of have to squint into the distance sometimes to see enemies that are far away. But we can always use our radar in the upper right to look at enemies that are coming. Our health meter is on the bottom left. I don't believe there is any way to recover health. So if you lose health that's lost. And that carries over into the next level. And the only way that you're going to have a full health meter again is if you die and if you have a continue. Which we have to earn by doing well in these levels. The pacing of this game is much like an arcade game. Except, of course, you're not putting quarters in. Since you're not putting quarters in, they have to have some way of limiting the continues. So you have to earn them. They call them credits, like you would in an arcade game. We made it to the first boss. There's an evil empire that exists in the world of Panzer Dragoon. We will be fighting the Imperial ships quite a bit. What is the relationship between the Empire and wherever Keel comes from? Not entirely sure, but we saw in that intro they didn't seem to like the appearance of Imperial ships. Look on the deck of that ship. We can see there's some people there. There are people on that ship. We can try to shoot them off. There they go. They can go flying if we can hit them. It doesn't actually affect the health bar, though. Something that you may have noticed is that the difference between our targeted attacks and our manual gun. To use a targeted attack, you do have to paint over the actual target, and then it takes a couple seconds for the beam to actually get there. The manual attack is much faster, but also much weaker. But sometimes you do need to use it, like on a projectile that's flying at you. You can't actually... some of them you can't actually paint over with the targeter. Sometimes it just decides that I can't do damage anymore, like right now. Oh no, actually I did a little damage. Okay, now I can't. I guess I've just destroyed all of the weak points on this side of the ship. I'll wait until I get to another side of it. Like right now. And that's it for the Imperial Battleship. First level's quite short, but others will be longer and tougher. Here are my stats. 81 defeated. How many missed? Oh, 0. Wow. So I get 100%, and because of that, I get 2 credits. So I started off with 1, I have 3 credits now. Let's go on to the next episode. Alright, the Empire knows where we are, and we're the target. They want to capture the Blue Dragon. We don't know why. They gotta have it. Team Rocket gotta have that Pikachu. The Empire gotta have that dragon. It's the most powerful thing. It is. I mean, the dragon will tear apart the Imperial ships. It is much stronger than the ship, so I guess I can't blame them for needing to capture this dragon. The language, if you may have noticed, is fictional. It is not a real language. It is the made-up language of this world. Time to kill some wildlife. Actually, I think my damage didn't carry over into this level. I thought it did, but I might be wrong about that. Also, you might have noticed you can turn your view, as you will be attacked from all sides. Got to use your radar to see where they're coming from. I mean, in that intro, we were having a lot of trouble with just that one scorpion-looking thing, and now look at us. We are killing all of the scorpion-looking things. when a lot of people see a game that involves painting targets like this, usually the game they will reference is Rez. For me, Panzer Dragoon has always been the main reference for this sort of style. It was the first game that I saw that had this kind of gameplay. I think that the dragon would just be able to increase elevation and not actually have to fight these worms. I guess we have our reasons. Well, we've caught up with the Black Dragon, though it's actually called the Prototype Dragon. Actually, we got ahead of it. I don't know how we did that. But it's time to fight. It's hard to tell. I'm pretty sure the rider is giving us the finger. I mean, why else just fly up right up to us like that? He just like flew right up right up, dragon face to dragon face. Couldn't tell what he was doing. Probably flipping us off. That's probably what was happening there. Episode 2 has been completed. Missed a few enemies this time. But shot-down ratio is still over 90, so I get the 2 credits. 90%. Let's go to episode 3. Yeah, the Keel and the Blue Dragon really didn't have too much trouble with the Prototype Dragon, even though that first rider... We don't, I mean, who knows? Maybe the first rider only just got on the dragon himself. We don't know how much experience that guy had. We just assume that he was an experienced rider. I mean, maybe he was only on the dragon for a few minutes. Maybe the previous rider also died, gave the dragon to that guy, then a few minutes later he died and gave him to us, and now we're the one who's been lasting the longest. Anyway, the Empire's caught up with us, so we're not just fighting the wildlife. it's time to mess up some encampment. I don't know what this is, but there's a lot of equipment here. They're like pumps. And just, facilities. That's clearly someone has built. We would assume the Empire. And we are here to just mess this whole place up. I guess the dragon is choosing to fly through this. We could fly over it. No, dragon's choosing. We're going to just go right through this. Like we own the place. Like these guys are just trying to get away. But I guess there's no getting away from the dragon. There's also two on the map, hidden away to the right. But if we're looking on the map, we can see them. They're right there. They were trying to hide. They could not. I do like the look of just the Imperial ships and just their equipment. They look like things that shouldn't work. Like, this thing doesn't look like it should fly, but it do. It's just kind of like a flower. The petals are just kind of draping down. Also, I can't hurt it yet because it doesn't have a health meter. Okay, now it does. It had to combine with its second half. But sometimes these Imperial machines are sneaky. This one was hiding a second health bar. That's why it's a prototype machine. You thought it was done. No, it was not. Our Imperial Battleship, what's its special function? Oh, you wouldn't believe how far this thing can jump. What? Aren't battleships supposed to fly? Not this one. This one jumps everywhere. We need to get specially trained crewmen for this, because this makes people very sick to actually serve aboard this thing. The motion sickness is ridiculous. Also, high probability of injury when serving aboard the jumping battleship. Not even the power of jumping was able to take down this dragon. No wonder the Empire wants it so bad. We're being chased by some Imperial small ships, which, I mean, we've been destroying a bunch of those. It doesn't seem like much of a threat. We flew into a cave, only missed one enemy. Alright, 2 more credits. Got 7 in total. So the worse you do in the game, the harder it gets, because, you know, if you don't have high percentages, you don't get additional continues. You only start off with the 1, and then if you lose, you get 1 continue. You use that, well, it's over. You're starting from the beginning, unless you can do better and earn more credits. The original release of this remake also had the long load times. The patch did not do anything to address the long load times, though I guess that was the lowest priority thing. They did fix a lot with this patch. The load times are still lengthy, though, on these screens. Now we have found ourselves in the best kind of cave, the ancient technology cave. Technology created by people long ago. No one remembers them now. Ah, we found the boss. He's just having a nap. I mean, there's not much to do in these ancient tech caves. He's just having a sleep until we go by, wake him up, He remembers, oh yeah, I'm supposed to be guarding this. I'm the guardian. It's like my only job. He's gonna flex at us. Do a little posing. Then the fight begins. This guy has a bit of a gimmick. Locking on to him doesn't do any damage. What we want to do is use our manual gun to shoot his wings. Alright, he lost his wing, which means we can now lock onto him as we take much damage from lasers, but that's fine because he has not much health. And you're having a nap that probably lasted for thousands of years. You get woken up by an intruder, you just get killed right away. I'm not hitting the weak point. It's only painting on that one target, though. Okay, no, it's... Gotta wiggle around a bit more. He's not losing health, though. Okay, he's losing health. Okay, there we go. The Black Dragon just flies by, just reminding us that he's here. Remember, we are trying to stop him from getting to the tower. So even though we've been fighting these monsters, machines, and Imperial ships like this, can't lose sight of what the actual thing is we need to do here, and that's beat the Black Dragon to the tower, whatever that tower is. But episode 4 is now completed. Two more credits. Let's go to the next episode. The next episode going to take place among trees and many Imperial ships, it looked like. They want to bomb us. I guess they probably want to try to capture the dragon, but I don't know how they would do it. Like, if they wanted to kill the dragon, they just keep shooting it, but if they want to try to capture it, don't know how you would go about trying to do that. Unless they have, like, Pokeballs, but I don't know if they've mastered that level of forbidden technology. Got to be depressing to be a crewman on one of the Imperial ships that's assigned to go after this dragon. Like, you've seen what happens to the others. Probably a good day to call in sick. Well, there's a flying stronghold and not a jumping one, so maybe it might have a better chance. Time for plan B. It also has a second health meter. It has another, like, cannon ring in the middle of it. Still, it's probably just a good idea not to expose your weak point at all. That is a problem with the Imperial designs. They all have to expose the weak point. Well, at least the Empire is recording this combat data, and they can use that to develop new and improved flying weapons. That's why the combat data is so valuable. And 2 more credits. So, back at the tower, the Imperial ships were destroyed by what I guess are ancient technology, the ancient tech that we've been fighting in the Tech Cave. Tech wants their tower back. Clearly the tower is also ancient technology. The Empire can't have it. And so now as we go to episode 6, the ancient tech is on the attack. So this is supposed to be the capital of the Empire. Oh, here's the Black Dragon. We caught up. We can try to attack it, but it doesn't seem to do anything. So we're at the Empire capital. They're attacking us. But the Empire is also being attacked, I think, by the ancient tech. They're not doing too well here. And we make it out of episode 6, out of the capital. Almost taking a death. I took a lot of damage early on in the level. Ended with not too much health, but at least it was enough to get out. Only 83% shot down, so I get 1 credit for a total of 12. But we still have not been able to outrun the prototype dragon. It is still ahead of us, and the tower is just about ahead. But as for right now, I think that we'll take a little bit of a break. I'll be back in 10 minutes as we continue on for the end of Panzer Dragoon Remake. So, take that little bit of a break. All right, episode 6 completed. Let's get to episode 7. Let's get right into it next episode. Well, we failed. The Black Dragon made it to the tower before us. We were explicitly told not to let that happen, but it did. And now it is powering up. And now we're going to have to fight it, even though it's powered up. And also, it appears that this particular dragon works for the Empire. So how did they get their own dragon? We don't know. It's all big now. It has like a long bony tail. It's directly in front of me. Well, that didn't turn out so well. This was being hit by all of them. Unfortunately, we have many continues. So even though the prototype dragon has powered up, it does not have the power of continues. And that was the one thing that they didn't take into consideration. Since Keel and the Blue Dragon are the protagonists, they can continue. It has gained the power of big, though if it's flying, you wonder how useful the power of big really is. I mean, it's still flying with its little wings. Its little wings are carrying so much weight now. You think he has one more attack in him. But then, no. He just kind of falls into the ocean. I guess the rider just wanted to fly up to you to give you one more middle finger. But with the black dragon out of the way, now we're going to the tower. Will we gain the power of Big Tail? Anyway, here's my ratio, 93.7, which means I'm a sharpshooter. And so, I guess the tower got blown up by the dragon. I mean, even though we were unable to prevent the black dragon from getting there first, we still destroyed its big tail and blew up the tower. And I guess the dragon is still alive, because we saw its footprints on the sand. You know, when you only saw one pair of footprints on the sand, that is when the blue dragon was carrying you. And I guess it flew away, because the mission was done. It was over. And the blue dragon just flew away to wherever it comes from. And I guess Kale is going to be heading back to his village to ride on a chocobo and hunt down large scorpions. With a story, and he'll have such a story to tell, but no one's going to believe him. Also, the state of the world might be very different considering the knackering the Empire took throughout this little story. So maybe the balance of power in the world will change. But that's not really something that Kale is paying attention to. He just has to be concerned about his small village and wonder where that dragon came from. Anyway, it's a very short game, as you might have noticed. Like I said before, it is paced like an arcade game. It's short. You earn credits to continue if you die. And basically the whole idea is that you would be replaying the game to, you know, get better at it, to increase your score, your percentages. It's a game that's meant to be replayed a number of times. And it was combined with a very strong art style, which hadn't really been seen at the time in video games, because, of course, when Panzer Dragoon originally came out, it was very early on in the Saturn's life, so that also means very early on in the time of the oncoming of polygonal games. And just in terms of art design, the original Panzer Dragoon just kind of blew away all other polygonal games at that point in time. Even though it looks very rough today, it looked spectacular at that point. And the point of Panzer Dragoon Remake was to redo the art into something a bit more modern. I do think it looks good, but, you know, honestly, I do think Panzer Dragoon Orta looks better. When I played that for the first time in 2018 when it was made backwards compatible on Xbox One. And I think the art design of Orta overall was stronger than in the remake. But then again, Orta probably had a higher budget, and that was handled by Sega themselves. Not to say this is bad. I think this is very good. Especially after the patch. And like I said, I was very disappointed in this game when it first came out. But now that the patch from today was released, it handles much better, controls much better. Oh, the screen is darkening. Let me flick an analog stick to brighten that up. So yeah, input latency is gone. Game runs and plays much smoother. So I'm very happy about that. The remade soundtrack that we've been hearing, like I said, I do like the original soundtrack more, but it is nice that they do have a redone soundtrack to begin with. Pancerny Smook. And I do think this does bode very well for the Panzer Dragoon Zwei remake, which is what they announced at the same time I think that they announced this. They said they were also doing Zwei, but I don't know when that's supposed to come out. But seeing the state of this game after today's patch, I'm very much looking forward to Zwei. Zwei is a better game than the original. It's like they take what's good about the original game and turn it up in Zwei. And also they add some complexity by giving you options to upgrade the dragon. So overall, Zwei is the better of the two games. So I'm greatly looking forward to seeing how that one turns out. Though, don't know when that might happen. And then, I think the thing that a lot of people are hoping for is if this game and the Zwei remake, if they sell well enough, the possibility of a Panzer Dragoon Saga remake. Panzer Dragoon Saga, a game that was never re-released on anything, a game that is extremely expensive if you actually want to buy a real copy of it. And is a game that Saturn owners always said was one of the best RPGs of its time. But also at the same time, one that not all that many people have played. Vast majority of people don't know about that one. So it would be very cool if this could get to the point where they do a Saga remake, so that game is actually, you know, available and playable on modern platforms. I would like that a lot. And I guess Orta doesn't need a remake, since you can play that one in HD right now if you have an Xbox One. It would be nice if that was available on other platforms as well, but at least there is one platform that actually does have that. So that's good. So, that is the story mode of the game. Again, it's very basic from today's standards, but at the time, it was something that was very unusual, just in terms of its presentation, just very spectacular in terms of its graphics and sound. But there still is just a little other thing we can do. Actually, let me, let's see. There are some codes in this game. You might have noticed on the top middle of the screen, it says Pandora's Box, enter the cheat code to enter. The first time I beat this game, it gave me a code. Didn't do it when I beat it this time. So I guess you may have to make sure you write that code down the first time it gives it to you. So I guess it doesn't give it to you again, which is kind of odd. But let's see. The code was up, up, down, down, left, right, BB. I might have done that wrong. Let's try that again. Nope, still not happening. Seems a little finicky. There it is. So we get like a little hidden menu. There's Pandora's Box, which we can choose which stage that we want. Changing these settings is highly unrecommended, but you can do it if you want. Difficulty level, I guess you could probably, I mean, that's something you can change from the beginning of the game. Here's speed up. If you want to speed up the pace of the game, the original game had this as well. The original Panzer Dragoon, the frame rate was quite low, but that was deliberate because that was the pace of the game they wanted. You could speed up the frame rate on the Saturn game, but doing so would speed up the gameplay, so you could just make the game faster. You could just do that. There's God mode. You want to be invincible. Easy boss mode. I'm not sure how easy it makes it. Disable rider? I guess if you don't want the manual gun, you could do that. Rapid fire? Maybe that's just holding down a button to... Because when I was using the manual gun, I was tapping the button, but maybe that's holding it down? So there's some options they give you in this cheat menu. Let's see. There's also an image gallery. These are all images. I think we saw all of these in the credits. Let me just go through them to see if there's... Well, we probably couldn't have seen all of them, because there's a lot. There's many. Like, here's this ship that we fought a lot with its big stone balloon. Stone-based technology. Look at this one. It's just like a big stone. It opens up. Enemies that we fought. Here we go. The star of the show, the jumping fortress. We're gonna make this big battle fortress. It's gonna jump so high you won't believe it. Here's the super dragon. It's just a normal dragon, but it has an enormous bony tail. That just seems like an inconvenience. It doesn't really seem like a power-up. Oh, here's the tower opening up, revealing its big flower within. Just like a big viney flower. There's also one other thing we could do here. I don't know where you get this next cheat code. I just saw someone post it. But this is something that was added with today's patch. If you do up, 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 down, 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 left, right, R bumper, L bumper. And it didn't work. I have to try that again. Not working. And can't get it to go. Don't know why these are finicky. I have gotten this to work. I don't know if there's a particular timing you need to do this with. Like if I need to do it faster or slower. It's still not working though. This is the top title screen. But I'm just not getting it. I don't know. I'm not sure why it's not happening. I'm on the top title screen right now. And this is where you would use the... I'm pretty sure this is where you would use the code. This is where it worked for me before. But not working now. Well, if I'm not getting it to work, it's not that big of a deal. What I'm trying to do is enter the code that lets you play episode 0. Which is just basically a score attack mode. Not it's consistently not working, but I did get this to work before. No, it's not. Well, all it is you're in the middle of an ocean. Enemies just keep constantly coming at you. And your health is constantly going down. And whenever you kill an enemy, you get some health back. And the idea is to just keep on going as much as you can before you run out of health. I wonder if I need to do it from this screen. No, it's not working here either. I don't know. It's not that big of a deal if we're not able to get it. Like I said, all it is really a score attack mode. And I did get the code to work before, but it's not working now for some reason. I don't know. But with that, I guess that means it's time for us to say goodbye to Panzer Dragoon Remake for the Switch as we've played through it. We saw what it looked like. We heard the remade soundtrack, which I had playing because, hey, we're looking at the remake. We want to see what's new. Even though I do think the original soundtrack is better than the new one. But it's not that the new one's bad. The old one is just a bit better. And like I said, even though Sega did not make this themselves, I'm still very happy with how this one turned out after today's patch, and I'm looking forward to seeing how Zwei is going to turn out, however that might be. And I guess all I can say is good night.